It is no secret that the sun is the main source of light and heat on the face of the earth, and without it the earth becomes cold and dark, of course, and although everyone knows this, there is always curiosity to know the answer to this question: what would happen exactly if the sun disappeared from our planet? Light travels at a speed of about 671 million miles per hour, and it takes about 8 minutes to reach the Earth, so we will continue to see the sun in the sky and will not realize its disappearance until 8 minutes after this happens. When the sun disappears, gravity will stop, and therefore all the planets will stop rotating, and then they will fly in a straight line through space, and there will be chaos in the solar system. 8 minutes eternal night. The Earth will sink into eternal night, though it will not be plunged into complete darkness when the sun is gone, for the stars will remain luminous, and the cities will remain lit as long as the electricity is running, and the planets will remain visible for a short time. For example, Venus is the closest planet to Earth, which is about 33 light minutes away from it, and the inhabitants of the Earth will continue to see it for more than an hour, which is the time it will take for the remaining sunlight to reach Jupiter and be reflected on the planet again. 9 minutes lack of sight of the moon. The inhabitants of the Earth will not be able to see the moon, because the moon does not emit light in the first place, and the reason for seeing it is because it reflects sunlight, but it will be possible to continue to see the stars because they are the source of the light emitted by them and not the sun, with the exception of the stars that we see only because they reflect the light of the sun. 9 minutes unbearable temperatures. Scientists estimate that the average surface temperature of the Earth will drop below 0 degrees Fahrenheit within a week of the sun's disappearance. Temperatures will continue to drop within a year until the average surface temperature of the globe drops below -100 degrees Fahrenheit. However, the center of the Earth will remain hot and molten. Some days microorganisms that live in the Earth's crust are likely to survive alone, due to the heat of the Earth's interior, while most organisms will survive for a short period after the disappearance of the sun. Several days the only way to survive. The only solution for the inhabitants of the planet to survive 1 month after the disappearance of the sun would be to live in submarines in the deepest and warmest parts of the ocean, or to build completely isolated residential areas. 1 month lack of photosynthesis, plants will not be able to carry out photosynthesis because the sunlight needed to complete this process has stopped. However, there will be some oxygen in the air for a short period of time, Most young plants will die within days, resulting in the death of the animals that feed on the plants, and eventually the death of the humans that feed on both. A few weeks later will live longer, although the animals at the bottom of the food chain will die quickly when the sun disappears. A litter will survive longer, and will survive on the carcasses of other creatures. A few weeks surface freeze oceans. When the Earth's average temperature falls below -100 degrees Fahrenheit, the upper layers of the oceans around the world will freeze. 2 months survival of big trees. Although plants will stop photosynthesizing due to the disappearance of the sun, leading to their death, large trees will survive without photosynthesis for decades. Several decades ocean isolation. Freezing of the ocean surfaces will insulate the deep waters below, keeping them from freezing and completely freezing for thousands of years. Water below the upper layers of the oceans will freeze as the Earth's temperature approaches -400 degrees Fahrenheit. 1,000 years atmospheric collapse. When the oceans completely freeze, and the temperature of the Earth reaches -400 degrees Fahrenheit, the atmosphere will also freeze and collapse, which exposes the Earth to harmful cosmic rays coming from space.